It's really a pleasure to be presenting in this conference, especially for me as I was at the very beginning of CFRAM. So watching this journey has been quite something and very rewarding. What I'm going to talk about is the regional aspect of fisheries governance, and the focus will be, well, first I'll give a bit of background. I'm going to talk a little bit about the conceptual basis, a bit academic, and then the coordination mechanism itself, and some of the things we need to keep in mind as we go ahead. Let us start at the beginning. There have been three GEF-funded LME projects with a focus on improving governance. In the very first one, there was a transboundary diagnostic analysis, which identified several governance gaps and weaknesses. And one of the chief among those was a mechanism for intersectoral coordination among countries and organizations at the regional level. And we're talking about 40 plus countries and 20 plus regional organizations operating in this arena within the region. So the second project developed a strategic action program and included the development of a regional cooperation mechanism in that. And the third project then started implementing the SAP and actually went through to develop the mechanism that I'm going to talk about a bit more. I don't want to spend too long on this. The main purpose on this conceptual basis, the main purpose of putting it here is that we can realize that matters of regional governance, institutional organizations, and so forth have underpinnings in political and social sciences. And therefore, it is useful to keep track of what is happening in those fields. In particular, there is a lot of research around regional ocean governance systems right now, and a lot of regions are attempting to establish them. And two of the ideas that are in the literature are about polycentric systems, which have multiple governing authorities at differing scales, rather than a monocentric unit with the authority for everything. People are also talking about regime complexes, and they refer to them as an ensemble of distinct institutional arrangements dealing with related or overlapping issues, or a spatially delimited area that are not ordered in any hierarchical fashion. So these definitions really do fit what is going on in our region, and there is a lot of, you can see some of the papers on the right, which are quite recent, that people are working in this area. And this research has implications for our region. So we need to keep up with it and try to use it. One of the reasons that it is useful to follow this research is that they are deciding that polycentric systems like ours may have many advantages over centralized systems. And that if you want to move towards a functioning polycentric system rather than a fragmented one where everybody's doing their own thing, you need to pay attention to quite a few areas. You need to pay attention to architecture, principles and rules, analyzing gaps and overlaps, mechanisms for cooperation and conflict management, building networks, application of the subsidiarity principle within the overall polycentric system so that problems are addressed at the appropriate geographical scale, strengthening learning and sharing mechanisms, and much more that we can learn from following what is going on in that area. Let's turn now to the objectives of the regional coordination mechanism that was worked on over the entire stretch of those three CLME projects. And the main objective is supporting regional collaboration in conservation and sustainable use of marine and coastal ecosystems, and also supporting coordinated and interactive ocean governance, promoting, of course, actions to the achievement of the CLME plus SAP, and promoting partnerships. And the proposed mechanism, and you can read about this in the Memorandum of Agreement, or MOU, which is shortly to be made available for signing. Their core functions are 4: facilitate coordination and monitoring of regional programs, sustainable financing, facilitate coordination of frameworks for ocean governance, and support, very important, support national ocean governance, because the national level is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. And then there are a variety of other functions, 5 others: coordinating knowledge management, outreach, science policy interfaces, very important if we're going to make the best available use of the best available science, and other areas as well. So this is a kind of proposed arrangement with the coordination mechanism being a steering group, an executive group, and a secretariat, and working groups as needed under the auspices of a high-level forum, ministerial and heads of states, and linking with countries through national intersectoral committees and through intergovernmental and with the intergovernmental organizations. So this is the kind of structure that has been more or less agreed on, but is yet to be signed upon. So just to wrap things up here, the way ahead, this coordination mechanism is going to be implemented by the next and 4th Caribbean Large Marine Ecosystem Project, which is called the Pro-Carib Project, and which is getting underway as we speak, and may have this MOU up for signing as early as October. If this thing is going to work, of course, it requires the full support and engagement of all the countries. And we know that the small countries have the most to gain, but are the most challenged because they have the resources available to participate in these kinds of things are limited. I want to emphasize too that what is happening here in the wider Caribbean region is pioneering. Other regions are watching and learning. On the right, you can see a graphic that was recently prepared for the Northeast Atlantic based on the way that we looked at things in the wider Caribbean region. So people are taking up, they're seeing what we're doing, they're thinking some of it is good, they're taking it up and adapting it. So we need to also watch and learn from them, and we need to, as I've earlier said, keep track of the conceptual development of around polycentric systems and regime complexes and so forth. There's useful information there. So thank you very much.
We do have some time for a question.
Sarju,
Yes.
there is an intervention from one Dexter Miller. He posted something in the chat. Just let me read it on his behalf. Maybe he's having challenges unmuting. Governance of a harmonized fisheries sector is much needed. It's very evident here in Grenada, where we share fishing space with St. Vincent, but each island has different rules managing the different species. What do you suggest in our case?
Yes, clearly this is going to be an issue because each of the countries has developed its own approaches to fisheries management, and that is what the role of a coordinating mechanism. And let me say, a coordinating mechanism can be at multiple levels. Right now, probably one of the strongest sub-regional organizations as far as ocean governance coordination is concerned is the OECS, where both of Grenada and St. Vincent and Grenadines are members. So I'm really just repeating what was in the presentation, but I mean, people need to sit down together and talk about how to harmonize their approaches, especially for the transboundary resources, of which there are plenty between St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. Then there is another raised hands. Gregory Kong, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hi, Professor Mahon. Good to see you. In one of the graphics that you put up when you were looking at the high level decision-making body, all I saw was the Ministry of Environment. Is that am I seeing wrong, or I saw some entities, some acronyms, and then all I saw was Ministry of Environment. Is Is that what the composition of the body would be? Just the Ministry of Environment?
Sandra, I do not think that that is the intention. I believe that it is the intention that each country should put forward the ministry that it considers to be most appropriate, whether that's a fisheries ministry or a blue economy ministry. It will vary from country to country, but I think each country has to decide who they consider to be the most appropriate ministry to sit in that body.
My own opinion, one ministry, and you know the dynamics between environment and whatever. So perhaps that's something that could be looked at maybe at this late stage. Those are just my thoughts. Thank you.
Well, just very quickly here, and I think we're going to hear more about it later in the session, you get to the matter of the national intersectoral committees and their importance in ensuring that you don't get just a one ministry perspective in that forum, that they're consulting at home and presenting a national perspective, not a ministry perspective. Thanks.
And really just want to take this opportunity to recognize Professor Mahon and also Chris Milley, two of the veterans who were very, very instrumental in establishing the CRFM project and also contributing to this CRFM. They have been with us from the beginning. So really good to see them still engaged and contributing to this thing.